Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Los.
What's going on? It's your boy J.O. We got our college football expert back with us over here on SSN. We got a lot to we got a lot to talk about, Matt. I want to start with your prediction at the beginning of the season. You said this actually on multiple occasions. You said Alabama is done. Okay. You said it before this season. You said they weren't going to win. Did you predict that they were going to win the SEC West?
I did predict that they would go to the SEC West, but I thought they'd have at least two losses
They're gonna
going
have two
into the
losses,
SEC
you
Championship.
said. And then after their first loss, you said they were done. You said Milroe was fucking ass, basically. These are your words, not mine. I told you never count out Nick Saban, but you fucking counted him out. You said the fat lady had sung on their season, and boy, poetic justice. They're the ones who put you boys out. So let's get to that first, man. Let's talk about Alabama turning their season around.
Well, I respect you just blasting me just from the jump. Like let's just cut to it for sure. So here's
I'm not.
the thing.
Hold on. I'm not blasting you. The truth can't be hurtful, bro. These are your words. You said this.
Of
I'm
course,
just pointing it out.
of course. So so I'll start with the big picture, right? As saying like the dynasty
He already
is
fucking
dead.
stuttering, Jay. He already,
No, see, I'm gonna start with the big picture, like the dynasty is dead part, because it's like that I still believe. Like they're not a dynasty right now. You don't have to be a dynasty to win a national championship. Like LSU won a national championship in 2019. They weren't a dynasty. Like, it's different.
Has Alabama made the college football playoff every year it's been on?
No, they didn't make it last year.
But they made it. They made it 8 out of the 9 or 10 years.
They missed it like twice.
So okay,
it was that year and the Joe Burrow year. Last year and the Joe Burrow year. Only years they've missed.
That just sounds pretty dynastic to me.
No, I mean Alabama's a powerhouse for sure. I mean, how many playoffs did Oklahoma make? Like they were never a dynasty at any point. They were a powerhouse. Ohio State made a bunch of playoffs. Obviously Alabama is a powerhouse. Like I'm not saying they're not an elite program in college football, but they were a dynasty from like 29 to like 2015. Since then, they've just been one of the best programs in college football, and they're capable of winning a championship every year, just like Ohio State is, just like Georgia is, just like Clemson was for a few years. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think they get so butthurt, like, oh, dynasty's dead. It's like, no one said you guys can't win a championship. But do we remember what the Alabama dynasty was? They were murdering everybody by like 40 points every game. Like this year, they've won like how many? I think they were in like 7 one-score games in the fourth quarter this year.
Is that more like a slight Alabama, or is that just saying that everybody's caught up?
I don't think everybody's caught up, but I think they're not at the level they once were. But their level was so ridiculously high that being lower could still be the best team in the country every year. Like they were head and shoulders the best for several years, for a decade basically. And now they're just like, they're really, really good. And I think this is really probably Nick Saban's. I mean, you could say they're great if you want, but this is Nick Saban's best coaching job.
It, man.
I saw J.O. rolling his eyes, and I said they're really, really good. But I'm just saying they're an elite program in college football. I'm not going to debate that. But you look at what they were this year. I think this is one of Nick Saban's best coaching jobs, because I don't subscribe to, like, you guys see like the 24/7, like the blue chip ratio and like the team composite talent. Like we're making an effort to like judge the overall talent on these rosters, but we know recruiting rankings aren't set in stone. Like it's not like 100% accurate. So this was called like the highest ranked, the most talented team of all time. Like you watch this team, like this wasn't the most talented team of all time. Like I don't care what the recruiting rankings say. Like this team was like a really good defense, kind of a quarterback, see what you can do type of offense, and they just found ways to win like every game. So I mean, that's where I'll definitely tip my cap to Alabama. I guess I didn't think that they were going to be able to get through this entire season, and I definitely didn't think they were going to beat Georgia the way they've been playing, and they just found ways to get it done.
I've been waiting this whole time for you to just say I was wrong. That's all I wanted you to say. Was I was wrong.
I mean, in the simple prediction that you can't win a national championship with Jalen Milroe or win the SEC with Jalen Milroe, I'm obviously wrong. But I think they were still the kind of flawed team that I thought they would be. And I think you saw like, I mean, I'm not gonna. You guys are gonna accuse me of hedging my bet or whatever. But the SEC West was kind of whack this year. Like A&M was my prediction of the team that could knock them off. they fired their coach. They were a huge disappointment. LSU had like one of the worst defense in college football. Like
So
Ole Miss.
who was the SEC East? Why are you like, I don't understand why you like, just give them their credit. You're like throwing all these like slights and these hedges.
No, because I think
they did what you didn't think they could. You didn't think they could get it done, and they got it done. Nick Saban pulled one out of his ass. He's adding on to legacy. This is adding on to his legacy. You counted that man out, and he proved you wrong yet again. So stop doing that shit. Just say
I literally just said it's like the best coaching job of his career. Like he's
okay, but you're also the SEC West isn't that good and all. Who gives a fuck? They're in the playoffs, Matt. They beat y'all. They had to do one thing and they did that shit. Nobody believed they was going to do that shit, and they did that shit. They made the playoffs. They beat Georgia.
I just want to ask you, how did that Alabama team beat the University of Georgia? How did that happen last weekend?
I mean, I would have to say the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's where, like, I don't know how many, because everyone wants to hate on the offensive coordinator when play calls don't work. Like, Georgia's offense, that was probably the worst performance of the entire season. And part of it, I think Georgia played a bad game, but obviously a huge part of that is Alabama making them play a bad game. So there were some unforced errors. Like, I think that when they tried the little reverse play and fumble on their own 10-yard line, like that was a backbreaker, because Georgia in the second half, like Alabama's, I think, first 4 drives of the second half, they had like 32 yards and 0 first downs. Like but one of those drives started on Georgia's 11-yard line, and they got 3 points out of it. So you saw Georgia limit that Alabama offense. Like, you look at the box score as a Georgia fan, I don't think you know that you lost that game. It's like, what are you looking at? Like, the Alabama had like 300 total yards, like 160 passing yards or something like that. Like, Milroe didn't like ball out on him. Like 38% of Alabama's total offense in that game was on the final 2 drives of the game. Like, for the most part, their offense really didn't do much, but that was Georgia. I think you have to give the credit of anything to Alabama's defense, because this Georgia offense had been just about unstoppable, at least in every big game they played this year. So this is by far the worst performance of the season.
But I feel like you got to give, like you're saying, I think the credit has to go to Alabama's offense, because they were not supposed to get it done against that defense.
Georgia's defense has been like suspect basically the whole year. Like, everyone's talked about how this team defense has not been the 2021 or 2022 defense. Like, it's still a top 10, top 15 defense in college football. But I think the defense, I think you'd seen, like, I think Georgia gave up like 20 points, like 4 or 5 games in a row, I think, coming into this game. Like, this team has actually been kind of mortal on defense. Like, even though they're still, I think, the number 1 ranked defense in the SEC this year, but they weren't what they've been the last couple of years. And this offense was just so good. You're like, I'm not sure how anyone's keeping us under 30. So I think our defense is good enough to keep the opponent under 30, and we should be good. I felt like Georgia, that's what made this team so dangerous, is they were kind of differently built than they have been in the past. And, it just, they found a way to win the game. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be the guy that blames the referees for a loss, but that fourth down conversion they had before halftime, where they don't review that catch,
that drive was massive. That drive was massive.
Yeah, exactly. That's 7 points that puts up Alabama up 10 before the half. It's like, if that's not a catch, which it wasn't. I mean, we can obviously see if they review that ball's on the ground and neither hand is underneath it. Like, Georgia has the ball at their own 37 with like a minute 20 left in the first half. Like, they could very well score a touchdown or kick a field goal, tie it up. Like, or if nothing happens, they get 0 points. They're down 3 at the half instead of 10. In a game you lose by 3, it's like a 7 points like that is pretty massive. And like, you can feel like you're the better team and feel like, we didn't win that day. No one cares if you feel like you're the better team and you don't win. But
key point. Nobody cares, Matt. Because when Ohio State did that same shit against y'all last year, you hit me with, nobody gives a fuck.
Y'all was Ohio State the better team than Georgia?
Yes, last year when we played y'all, we had.
According to who? Georgia had more total yards in that game.
We're missing. Hold on. We're missing both of our starting running backs.
But that's not the question.
No. Listen. We're playing with both of our starting running backs missing. You knock out our best receiver. Our other best receiver's not playing. We still have the lead the majority of the game, and we lose on a missed field goal. So I don't want to hear about we were the better team. We lost on a missed field goal to Georgia, the best team in the country.
Yeah, it's a winnable game.
Out half of our starting offense. So I don't want to hear shit about, nobody gives a shit, Matt. You lost the game. It happens.
I mean, CJ Stroud, Ohio State blasted Georgia's defense, but Georgia also just routed Ohio State's defense as well. Like, it was a shootout. So it was obviously a winnable game for Ohio State, but no, it's hard to say they're like clearly the better team or something in that game.
We're the better team. Y'all beat us by 3 without half of our offense, and we missed the field goal.
They beat them by 1.
Beat us by 1. Oh, yeah. You beat us by 1. So the field goal would have won us the game if our kicker just nuts up one time.
For sure. And I mean, if you're Alabama.
Hey, who's counting, Los? We talk about the best team.
This is some Stephen A. Orlovsky shit.
I just saying, like, Matt loves to just throw these little things off that piss me the fuck off. Like, oh, the better team can feel like, nigga, we was the better team last year. We lost.
But that's what I'm saying.
Nobody gave a shit. So nobody gives a shit that y'all lost either.
As an Ohio State fan, you feel like you were the better team. There's sometimes in those games you can lose, but feel like you're the better team. And I think with some of those unforced errors that Georgia had against Alabama, you can understand, like, yeah, we're probably one of the best 4, but we lost.
So speaking of the 4 teams that got in the playoffs, one team got left out, and it's been the talk of the town, talk of college football. Florida State, undefeated, won their conference championship, Power 5 conference, did not get in the playoffs. Did they make the right decision in your opinion?
It sucks, man. If I was a Florida State fan right now, I would just feel like we just got totally hosed. Like, I don't know I just think the committee, it is like, because people are saying, like, this is kind of the committee's job, like to take the whole body of work and be like, well, we want to see who the best 4 teams are. Like, but we all know it's been most deserving for. They can act like it's not most deserving for, but it's always best for. Like honestly, like, do you think, how many teams would you favor Georgia over that made the playoff? Like, there's probably maybe all of them. Like Alabama,
to be honest, all of them, I would.
So it's not really the best 4; it's the most deserving 4. And if you're a Georgia fan, you know why you're not in. You didn't deserve it. You lost the SEC championship, so you can't tell a Florida State why you guys didn't get in. You look at Alabama. Like, are you going to tell me Alabama's not one of the best 4 teams? Like, they definitely are, but you can tell them, and with a straight face, like, you guys aren't in because you lost to Texas. There's three undefeated Power 5 teams, and one that beats you head to head.
Sorry to cut you off. The Bama thing is a little weird because, yes, they do have the win against Georgia, and that's probably the best win of the season. But the week before, they literally were about to lose to Auburn until this nigga made the God play of all God plays, like some bullshit he just pulled out of his ass. If not for that, they lose to Auburn. The conversation is completely different. I'm just saying. So, like, Alabama's a little iffy to me when it comes to, like, are they the best 4? They do have the best win, so I'll give them that. And like you said, it is about who deserves it. But it's weird. The committee is never, like, super consistent in what they're giving us. Like, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. It's kind of like whatever they feel that year weighs the most is, like, what they're going to go with. Because, like you said, if it's most deserving, there's no way you can look at what Florida State's, like, resume is versus other people's resume and say they don't deserve to be in. But if you ask me personally, I probably would have did the same thing. I don't feel like they should have got in just because the product that they put out there since Jordan Travis has not been there is completely different than what they were before. Like, they could not score against Louisville, and it is what it is. Like, when you watch the games, you're like, all right, if they have to play one of these top teams with this guy at quarterback, I don't see how they're going to do it. But if we're talking about who deserves it, there's nobody that deserved it more than Florida State, to be honest. But
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Michigan and Washington are better than Florida State right now.
And like, I was gonna say right, that, but I think
the quarterback.
Who knows? They might find a way to win the game. Like, Florida State's defense has been sick since Jordan Travis got hurt. Like, I hate the idea of a committee of people, like, telling us how good we are without our starting quarterback.
But
like,
I mean,
we got 85 scholarship players. Like,
I get that, but, like, we've also seen them play like 3-4 games without the quarterback.
I think like 2, right?
Was it only 2? How many was it?
I think he got hurt in the second to last.
No, it's been 2 games.
2 full games.
Rodemaker started the second string quarterback got hurt, and then the third string quarterback started last week. So it's been 2
How many games have they been without Jordan Travis? Just 2? 2. Okay.
Yeah. So it was that second to last regular season game that Travis got hurt in. But I don't know. I think Alabama probably is one of the best 4 teams, but it was a perfect storm to keep them out. Like Texas literally beat them on the home field. You saw why they're ranked higher, but I don't know how you can go undefeated in a Power 5 conference and not get in.
I think this is key case in point to the fucking SEC bias that we've been talking about for fucking eons. They would not have done that same shit to Alabama. I guarantee you. Alabama goes undefeated. I don't give a fuck if Los is playing starting quarterback. They would have been in the fucking playoffs. But Florida State gets fucking hosed. That's it. I'm just saying.
I mean, their resume is not going to be as weak as Florida State's if they're
I don't give
in the
a
SEC.
fuck about
That's
a goddamn resume,
but
Matt. You're the one who just told me the SEC West was weak. So if it could have been LSU could have won 8 games this season. Every team in the SEC West could have won 8 games. If they would have went undefeated, I don't care if they're on their 5th string quarterback. I don't care if the punter is playing quarterback. Nick Saban as that head coach, they would have made the playoffs. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Okay. And Florida State also beat LSU.
Can I throw this in there real quick? Do you think that TCU getting blown out last year had any impact on Florida State not making the playoff?
I would say no.
I mean, in terms of like it being a TV product and like
exactly,
it might not have had a 0 impact, but I just hate that like the cop out that the committee got with Jordan Travis being hurt, because I think there's a chance if Jordan Travis is healthy that like this still happens, and then it's like a huge uproar. Like
I don't
we're taking
that. No. This does not happen if Jordan Travis is healthy. This does not happen.
I don't think.
I mean, I would hope not, but it is the SEC. Like J.O.'s talking about the SEC bias. Like that would put the SEC bias to the test.
I think that at that point, then Alabama would have to get out because Texas beat Alabama, and I think at that point Alabama doesn't make.
I mean, I think under the current circumstances, Alabama should be out. So like, I don't.
That's a fact, but they, like you said, they had a cop out. Like they had that one cop out that they could fall back on. And I mean, like we said, those last 2 games without Jordan Travis, their offense, I mean, they put up 24. They beat Florida 24-15, and then the last game against Louisville, like they put up 16 points in the game. Like they
only scored 16. It was 16.
But how many points were scored on them though? You know, you got to play offense and defense, and the defense was balling. Like the defense.
I get what you're saying, but you also have to then say, okay, put what we just saw against Washington, put what we just saw against Michigan, put what we like, you know what I'm saying? And if I'm sitting there thinking like, I just saw Michigan beat Ohio State, I'm not thinking that Florida State without a quarterback is going to be able to beat Michigan. I'm not thinking that Florida State without a quarterback is going to beat it. Like,
I thought on rivalry week, I thought that's what sealed Florida State making the playoff, because Washington went and beat a shitty Washington State team with a field goal with no time left. Alabama needed a miracle to beat a 6-6 Auburn team. Like Florida State at least beat Florida by double digits. Like even though it was a close game, it was a close game for most of it. It's like those teams are completely healthy and playing close games with bad teams.
I could agree with you if not for there being a championship week where then Washington gets to beat Oregon, Oregon at that time was looked at as like a really good team. Like people were saying Oregon was going to get in if they won that game against Washington. So then you turn around, you get that win. I feel like that is the lasting image in people's heads, like what happens in conference championship week.
And so that's why they should be the 2 seed, maybe.
Honestly, you guys, again, Georgia played ass against Georgia Tech. Like if we're going to be honest, like you guys played a closer game than anybody anticipated against Georgia Tech.
I think part of the problem with the current committee and everything and how people perceive college football is how mainstream like gambling and like betting has become, like in my opinion, because so much of it, how we determine who are better teams, like, oh, they'd be favored by so-and-so on a neutral field. It's like, I don't care. Like they won their games. Like Florida State went 13-0, like put them in the playoff. Like I think I don't know if you guys watch Josh Pate. He comes out with his JP poll every week, and it's not about actual how you would rank the teams, but it's legit just some simulation model they have that's these teams would be favored on a neutral site. So Texas A&M had lost like 4 or 5 games, and they're at like number 18 in his poll. It's like, this is what would happen, you know? So, and I think that sort of thing kind of clouds people's judgment on like, we know how these rankings have worked. It's a flawed system. You're number 4 and you lose to number 1 by 3 points. You drop in the polls. It doesn't really make sense. Number 1 should beat 4 by 3, right? If we're doing the polls correctly, but just kind of how it works. You win, you go up in the polls, you lose, you go down. And at the end, Florida State's undefeated. Like, they got to be in. So
let's move over to the Heisman Trophy. I want to we got the 4 guys who are going to be in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. So I want to just get your take on who you think should win the Heisman. I feel like it was a down year, kind of lackluster. I don't feel like any of these guys feel like a real Heisman, like how some years you get the guy and you're like, yeah, that guy, that's the Heisman Trophy winner. But who you got for the Heisman this year, bro?
yeah, it kind of feels like the RG3 and Lamar Jackson season, where like they didn't have the team success, but the numbers were just stupid. It's like you just couldn't ignore it. Like, yeah, Jaden Daniels, I think, is the obvious like runaway. Like, it doesn't even seem close to me. Like, the fact that I think Bo Nix was like the betting favorite at some point last week, and then people saying he would have won the Heisman had they beaten Washington, is just like, who thinks Bo Nix is better than Jaden Daniels? Like, this man has just been, he's got like 1,200 yards rushing. Like, he's had a great season. He's got invited to New York. But I thought Rome Odunze should honestly be in there instead of Michael Penix. Like, for the last like 5-6 weeks before the actual Pac-12 championship, he was dealing in the Pac-12 championship. But like, he threw for like 400 yards like the first 4 games of the season, and everyone made a big deal about him. But like, the last like 2 months, he was just kind of okay, and their offense wasn't great. But Rome Odunze went for 100 like every single game. Like, that dude is just a monster. So I would have him. I feel like he had just as good of a season, if not better, than Marvin Harrison Jr. this year. But Marvin Harrison Jr. was a little handcuffed with the quarterback play. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't have a strong opinion really about any of the finalists or anyone getting like hosed on not being a finalist or anything.
Los, what you got? Who you think? Who'd you get the Heisman to? You going Jaden Daniels too?
Oh, shit, bro. I honestly think Penix is gonna win it.
You think
What?
I think that, bro. First of all, that's the Pac-12 hasn't had a winner in a long time. Hasn't had a college football playoff team in a minute. So that's my first thing. Is like, okay, he put back on for the Pac-12 this year. He's had a great year. He's had a couple games where he hasn't played his best, but he's been pretty much consistent all year. I like Jaden Daniels, and he did tear up the SEC. I don't know. That's a tough one, bro. I'm going to go Penix. So I like Penix. I think Penix should win. Like, Jaden Daniels had a hell of a year, passing and rushing. But Penix has led a team we weren't really expecting to be this good, I would say, this whole year. I'm going to give it to Penix.
I like that. I think obviously Jaden Daniels is gonna win the Heisman. I mean, everybody's talking about him. He's the betting favorite and everything. I'm gonna go for my guy. You feel me? Ohio State through. I'm gonna defend my guy, Marvin Harrison Jr. Matt, you said it best. He was handcuffed all year. We were playing with no disrespect, bro. No disrespect to the kid. Kyle McCord was fucking mid. That's the best I can say about him. I'm not gonna disrespect him too crazy. The kid was mid, okay? He was not good. And Marvin Harrison put up crazy numbers. He made it all the way to New York with a guy who was fucking ass. The kid already put his name in the transfer portal, and he would have probably won the job. That's how fucking ass I know he is, because he's scared of the fucking pressure, bro. He probably would have been the starting quarterback at Ohio State. The last 3 Ohio State starting quarterbacks, first round draft picks into the NFL, all that type of shit.
He didn't want that smoke.
He didn't want the smoke, and this is the guy.
I'm not ready for this.
You feel me? This is the guy that Marvin Harrison Jr. has playing quarterback for him, bro. So I mean, if we're factoring in that, like the fact that Marvin Harrison put up the numbers that he did, the fact that he's probably going to be a top 5 pick in the draft, like, come on now, Marvin Harrison Jr. put up. He did God's work. That's what I'm gonna say. He did God's work, because he had fucking Matt Green out there playing quarterback for him, and he still made it to the Heisman fucking trophy ceremony. Shout out Marvin Harrison Jr. Everybody vote Marv. Oh fucking H.
Kyle McCord's not that bad now. But yeah, I mean, we're talking best player in college football. Like, I mean, I wouldn't die on the hill arguing against someone who said Marvin Harrison Jr. was the best player in college football. So he hasn't had a Heisman season, but it's just kind of, it's a narrative trophy.
Who has?
I think Jaden Daniels, I mean, his numbers are stupid. This guy's got like 1,200 yards rushing to go with like ridiculous passing numbers. I'm not looking at him right in front of me, but
I mean, he already won college football player of the year. So He's probably just gonna finish it, get the
Big,
clean
man.
sweep. I feel like that shit always happens.
Matt, let's move over to the college football playoffs. We got our 4 teams. My team didn't make it. Your team didn't make it. But we got Michigan. We got Michigan going against Alabama. Two blue blood schools. I feel like that's going to be a game. It's going to be a crazy game. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be very offensive, but it's going to be a slobber knocker. Like they're going to be battling in them trenches, boy. They're going to be slobber knocker.
Crazy.
Boom. It's going to be one for the trenches, boy. So I want to get your take on that game. And then we got Washington versus Texas. That one's probably going to be a shootout. You feel me? We got 2 different type of games in this year's college football playoff. So who you got? Los, come on, chill out, Los, chill out.
Yeah, this is tough because I like you said, like both of these teams match up like really interesting against each other. Like I feel like we got like the same styles going against each other. With Washington and Texas, like I feel like everyone's going to be picking Texas because you just saw what they did to Alabama, and there's a certain lack of respect for Washington, I think, in the Pac-12 and everything. But I don't know, with how they like basically put the shackles on Oregon's offense in at least for 2 quarters in the Pac-12 championship, like I feel like if they have a defense that can play the way they did, like their receivers are all healthy now, like. I think Washington, they feel like TCU, Michigan from a year ago. Like, I don't know. Like, everyone's going to be picking against them, but Washington's got a legit shot to win that game. But then you look at Alabama and Michigan.
So you're going Washington?
Am I picking Washington? I don't know if I'm picking. Do I mean, you want me to make a pick right now?
Who's your final? Give me your final. You got to give it from both sides of the bracket.
All right. So I'll stay with that. I'll stay with that one. The one team that I would correctly pick to make the college football playoff before the season started was the Texas Longhorns.
Yep, you did.
Give me Texas to beat Washington. But yeah, that game's going to be a lot of fun. Alabama, Michigan, I've disrespected JJ McCarthy all year. And I feel like he got in that Penn State game and it was just like, we don't even need him. We don't even need a quarterback. We could still win. You saw against Ohio State, like this guy's just not that good. I tend to think these 2 teams are so similar the way they're built. Like, I don't care what the numbers say about how much better Michigan's defense is than Alabama. Like, they're the same level defense. Like, you can split hairs, but they're not better. Like, both of these defenses are just great. And one team has Jalen Milroe at quarterback, and one team has JJ McCarthy at quarterback. And I feel like I'm not really impressed with the playmakers on either team, really. Like, they're not like superstars or anything. Like the run games for both teams are probably like not as good as they typically are. Like as good as Michigan's running backs are, like their run game surprisingly hasn't been that dominant this year. And Alabama's run game, it seems like a lot of it's just Jalen Milroe running around. So I think 2 evenly matched teams. I feel like this is going to be like 17-17 in the 4th quarter or something. Like I feel like it's going to be a low scoring game. But I got to take Alabama just because I don't think JJ McCarthy can make enough plays to beat Alabama.
So Alabama versus Texas.
Yeah,
for the
rematch.
Natty. Who you got?
I don't know, man. I can't pick Alabama. I'm picking Texas. I don't know. It's hard to beat a good team twice for sure. But I'm not sure that Alabama is better than Texas. I mean, this team beat them by 10 points on their home field. You got to think a national championship game in Houston, of all places, like it's not going to be 50. It's not going to be like a crazy home field advantage, but it could be 60-40 Texas fans. Like,
and motherfucker, you know it's going to be 60-40 Bama. Bama travel anywhere.
I mean, it's in Houston, and it's like when it was Georgia Alabama games, like in neutral sites. Like you'd see a lot of games that were more Georgia than Alabama because Georgia fans were just starving for that shit. Like Alabama, like yeah, this is just the latest chapter. This is what we do. I went to the last 2 national championships. I didn't make it to this one. You know, like Texas fans, like they've been waiting for this shit. Like they're gonna be there without a doubt.
Nah, for sure. Okay, so. I mean, shit, you taking Texas. That's all I got out of that was you taking Texas.
Yeah, I guess so. I got to take J.O.'s boy, Quinn Ewers, to get it done.
And I got one more thing I want to ask you real quick.
I would kill for Quinn Ewers to be back at Ohio State.
Right.
Okay, so this kind of goes into what I was about to say. Do you think, knowing pretty much Quinn Ewers is going to return, should Arch Manning transfer?
I don't think we know Quinn Ewers is coming back. If they win the national championship and this man balls out, like he could be getting first round talk. But yeah, I mean, if he's coming back for 1 year. I don't know, man. I think sitting for 2 years isn't just like the worst thing in the world. Like,
but you got but there's a job like Ohio State open.
I mean, that's true. I mean, I feel like Quinn Ewers knew he wasn't going to be the starter for at least a year. Like nothing's guaranteed. Or Arch Manning knew he wasn't going to be the starter like immediately. So I don't know.
This ain't no Tate Martell situation. This is motherfucking Arch Manning. So that's why I asked. Like, I don't know. I think it's a shame that Arch Manning brought the bench another year when he could be at a really big school.
I think it's fair both sides to look at it. I think there's nothing wrong with him sitting another year. Like it's not going to hurt him. He's Arch Manning. Like he has the Manning last name. So if he plays his junior year and he balls out, like, and he plays his senior year and he balls out, like at Texas, he'll be fine. But like you said, the transfer portal shit, like it changes everything. So like he could go to Ohio State, like you said, be the starting quarterback at Ohio State. And I mean, like we know what that is too. So I can see both sides. I think he wants to be at Texas, though. It seems like he wants to be at Texas. He probably got him a little girlfriend, but he chilling out there.
Hey, and I ain't never seen no backup get paid so well in my life. Right. Motherfucker is like first or second in NIL money right now. So he's
living that Matt Leinart, Chase Daniel life right now.
We appreciate Matt, man, our college football guru. We will have him back on after the first round of the college football playoff. Matt, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. You guys are the best. I appreciate it, fellas.
Oh, my God.
And this has been another one with your boys over here at SSN. And just like that, we out.